And it's been quite interesting, having worked in the rail sector for over 20 years. It's been quite interesting to see what's happened, especially over the last maybe 6 or 7 years in particular. A lot of this happened on the back of this level crossing rail removal, which was a project that was started by state government a few years ago, where they wanted to remove 75 level crossings throughout Victoria, dangerous level crossings. And that's actually now expanded into the improvement and the development of new stations right throughout Melbourne. There's been a number of key stakeholders through this process, which has been tremendous to work with, which include people such as MTM, Rail Project Victoria. There's been a lot of engagement with local government, and it's been quite interesting also to work with a lot of the special and key interest groups within that area as well. The works that we have been doing in terms of this new station builds and level crossing removals have been really honed into improving the reliability of train services, but also to reduce the congestion and wait times for traffic, etc. And these developments have actually transformed their stations and opened up a whole heap of community spaces too, which has been quite interesting. There's been quite a lot of specialist lighting aspects that have gone into the build as well, and it's all been designed towards enhancing the human experience of the actual area, whilst making sure that we cover off safety. It's also been able to make the whole space a lot more livable and workable for all users. So that whether be for people that also get there by foot, whether they ride their bikes, whether they do a drop off in a car. That's been probably one of the biggest changes that I've been seeing. Also while making sure that we sort of don't disengage with the community too. That's been one of the biggest things that I've noticed. It's been the changes. The most exciting thing about this entire project, all these rail projects that have been happening now, it's been a really nice blending of form and function working together. So it's a project where we're able to combine the functionality of what a train station or a rail network has to do, along with making it look visually appealing and enriching and enhancing people's experience. So lighting has now not only become something that provides a source to be able to do these functions, it has now been something that's been able to enhance the built environment. It's been able to encourage activity, and probably best of all, it's actually been able to improve the urban and visual amenities of the area too. So yeah, that's been probably the biggest change that I've actually found. With the platforms, there's a number of key considerations. The first one obviously is the public transport user. You want to make sure that when you get on that platform that you're going to be able to safely walk around the space. You're going to also want to be able to make sure that you can see where the platform ends, so it does that for you. And you're going to be able to pick up key things such as where the entry and exit points are, where help buttons are, and where rubbish bins and signage is, so you want to be able to see that clearly as a user. The other consideration is obviously with drivers coming in. Obviously drivers are coming into a station. As they come into that station, the last thing they want to be able to do is be blasted with light, because as you're driving this train into the space, you want to be able to see what's going on. You want to be able to make sure that people are behind that yellow line. You want to be able to see that when people get on and off the train that they're doing that, and if there's anyone who's stuck there or there's any issues that come up, you've got that clear line of sight. Here in Victoria, or in Melbourne in particular, we only have a train only setup rather than a train and conductor setup, so they need to be able to make sure that they're able to see that clearly. So that's the other consideration there. Yeah, the third thing is with that platform is also with train stations, you also have residences and other users. You want to make sure that that light doesn't encroach on the livability of their area that they're looking at. So you want to make sure that they distribute the light and get the light into spaces and satisfy what they call horizontal and vertical illuminance levels. So that is for the safety of the transport users. It's also to ensure the security systems and things like that work and that are able to see things clearly, and also train drivers. That's one. The second one would be the fact that the luminaire is actually built for purpose and will actually last and be able to go into that space without another consideration for at least a 20-year service life. The way that it's also built, you've got big heavy trains coming into stations. It causes vibrations, lots of foot traffic causes vibrations. That sort of stuff over time does have an effect on light fittings. You want to make sure that it's going to be robust enough to be able to cope with that. And then the other thing is about maintenance. You want to be able to make sure that when you do put the product up, that if something does go wrong, which may occur from time to time, that you're able to get in there and get it fixed really, really quickly without any hassles. One of the great things about the WEF product that makes that maintenance part a lot quicker and a lot easier is the fact that it actually comes as a fully sealed unit that gets terminated at the base of the pole, so that makes it very, very easy and quick if maintenance is ever required. Three of the main things that are the most important is pedestrian safety. They're able to identify people when there's moving cars, trucks, bikes. It's able to assist with crime prevention because it gives people sort of like, because if an area is well lit, we generally find that there are less incidences, especially in car parks. And number three, it's to ensure that you're able to identify where you're at and able to get back there pretty quickly. The viaduct was actually presented a really interesting opportunity for us, especially because it was used on one of the elevated rail systems. What we did is we actually, rather than using poles and luminaires, we actually used the viaduct itself to attach fittings to the actual top of the concrete structure to light the actual space. And that was a really, really cool outcome because we didn't have all these vertical elements of poles and light fittings sticking out of the ground. We're able to put everything up out of sight, and the area just looks so beautifully illuminated, and it makes the space really, really comfortable. There were approximately 17 kilometres of parkways and walkways which was opened up underneath this elevated rail system. So one of the things from that was that obviously you wanted to be able to use this space to engage with the community and get the community in there. Firstly, they put in little activity pods, whether they were little gym centres, basketball courts, seat areas where you could sit, and things like that. We were able to light those areas and be able to draw people into those spaces. So it's really nice to see that you get people using this area where it used to be a railway basically, that has now become a park where they're able to meet up with their family, friends, just sit around and contemplate what's going on in the world, or just sit there and look at this fantastic lighting design. Whatever it is, that's been one of the best things about it.